All right, there was a little bit of this on yesterday's homework. I apologize for that. I meant to put it on tonight's homework because I didn't show you how to do it. But how do I find the value of C? I take B divided by 2. It doesn't divide nicely, does it?
Nope.
So what I have to do is I simply square the top and square the bottom. So 13 squared is 169. 2 squared is 4. Yes, I apologize for that yesterday. Now, because you know the shortcut, what is this going to factor into? X plus 13 over 2 squared.
So, for that, on the quiz, you have to put both for the answers?
No, these actually right here, it just says find the value of C.
Okay.
This isn't actually part of my answer. I'm just trying to remind you of something. Okay? The only answer is 169 over 4.
Okay.
All right? How about this guy? I take my B value, which is -1. I divide it by 2, and then I square it. Well, I can't divide it nicely, so I'm going to take -1 and square it. And I'm going to take 2 and square it. And what does that give me?
1 over 4.
1 over 4. -1 squared, remember, is +1. So my C value would be 1/4. And what would this factor into, just for future reference? M. This is -1/2, right? So M minus 1/2 squared. Okay? All right, now, something that is different today. The A value. We have only completed the square when A is 1. Every single one of these, A is not 1. This is the most difficult that completing the square gets. Okay? One thing I love, there is one question like this on the quiz. The rest of it all is A. Let me verify. There is one question. There is one question. Wait a minute. There is one question like this. Okay. So, at most one question. All right. So, looky here. What do you notice? Well, first off, my A value is 3. That's where the issue's coming up here. Yes? Do you notice anything about 3, 6, 36, and 9? You can divide them all by 3. So let's start off doing that. So that gives me x squared plus 2x minus 12 equals 3. Now I can treat it just like the problems from the other day. All right? They're not all this easy, but sometimes they are, and that's helpful. So I can move my 12. Right?
Yeah.
I was dumb, though, and I forgot to leave my space, so let me get some white out here. Blank equals 15 blank. Thank you. And what am I going to put in the blank? Yep. 2 divided by 1 squared. I'm sorry, divided by 2. Right? So that gives me 1 squared, which is 1. So here I have x plus 1 squared equals 16, and I have a fairly easy one, don't I?
Yeah.
X plus 1 equals plus or minus 4. Subtract 1. X equals positive 4 minus 1 is 3. Negative 4 minus 1 is negative 5. So please tell me that one wasn't too bad. Okay. Where did I get the 3? Which 3? The one I divided by? The 3. Positive 4 minus 1 gives me the 3. Negative 4 minus 1 gives me the negative 5. Okay? So? Okay. Let's see. Are there any other problems where I can divide everything by something?
No.
Are you sure?
Wait, no, number 6.
Number 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So let's divide 5. Divide them all by 3. That gives me n squared minus 7 equals 8. Equals 6n. 6n. All right, I got some things on the wrong sides, though. What do I have to do?
Subtract the 6n.
Subtract 6n. That gives me n squared minus 6n minus 7 equals 0.
Then you add 7.
Then I add 7. So n squared minus 6n blank equals 7 blank. What's going in the blank? Negative 6 over 2 squared, which is negative 3 squared, which is what? Positive 9. What does this factor into? X what? N. Minus 3 squared equals 7 plus 9. 16 again. Add 3. And n equals positive 4 plus 3 is negative 4 plus 3 is, there's your 2 answers. I think I heard someone ask, where did I get the 3 from? Remember, it's whatever this number is before you square it. Whatever this number is before you square it, that's your shortcut to getting to that. If you can't remember what that number is, then snowflake it. Snowflake this, and you'll get there too. Okay? If you can't remember the shortcut, snowflake to get this. Factor. All right, which other one can I divide by 3?
6. I mean by 3?
Or by, not by 3 necessarily, but divide by something to get that a value of 1. 6? What can I divide everything by? Okay. So this gives me k squared equals 2k plus 11? Yeah? What do I need to do?
You need to subtract the 2k.
Subtract 2k. That gives me k squared minus 2k blank equals 11 blank. What goes in my blank?
2 divided by 1.
Negative 2 divided by 2 is what? Negative 1 squared is positive 1. So I have k minus 1. Again, that minus 1 comes from right here. Squared equals what?
12.
So 12 isn't going to have a nice square root, but I think I can deal with it.
You can make a tree.
Plus or minus, I can make a tree. All right, if I make a tree for 12, 3 and 4, 2 and 2, 2 rad 3.
Yeah.
Add my 1, and what does k equal?
K equals
1 plus or minus 2 radical 3. All right, well, we got half of them done. So let's come back up to number 2 or number 4 and see what we can do.
There's no back?
There's no back.
I thought it said there was 10.
No, I was looking at the homework assignment, sorry. Now, your homework assignment has a mix. Some of them don't have an A value, so you can just do them like you've been doing it. But some of them do. All right, first thing I want to do is I want to get the n squared and the n on the same side. and then the other number on the other side. So what do I need to do first here?
Doesn't n squared have to be by itself or no?
Yeah? That gives me 4n squared minus 8n equals what? -3.
Yeah.
Now, here's where it gets tricky, and it goes back with what you were saying. Doesn't n squared need to be by itself? To a certain extent, yes. I need to get rid of that 4. But I can't just divide everything by 4, because what's going to happen over here
You have fractions.
is going to be ugly, right? We don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to look and see, don't worry about the n's, but can I factor something out? I think I can factor out a 4.
Oh no, I'm having a heart attack.
Don't worry. Yes? And I'm going to leave my blank here. Equals -3
No, I can't do this.
blank. That's not hard. Come on, people.
That's why you remember.
That's why you study.
Factor out the 4. Yeah,
That's why you study. Why did I choose 4 to factor? Because 4 is the number I need to get rid of. So that's why I factored it out. So if it was a 5n, I'd factor out a 5.
Okay, that makes a
Okay?
lot of sense.
If it was a 10n, I'd factor out a 10. I got to get rid of whatever number.
Wait, if you're factoring out.
Now just be patient here. What's going to be my box number, or my blank?
Oh,
-2 over 2 is what?
-1.
Squared is,
1.
so I put +1. Now be careful.
Oh my god.
This is the one place that messes people up. People want to do +1 there.
Why not?
That's fantastic. But it's not just +1.
Oh lord.
It's 1 times whatever it is. Can you shut up and listen for a minute, please? My goodness. You guys sit there and whine, and you're not even going to hear the explanation that's going to help you understand it. Right? Listen. I'm not just adding 1 because this, if I think about this, this is distributive property, right? So 4n squared minus 8n plus 1 times 4, or 4. So I have to make sure to take this box number and multiply it by whatever that number was that I took out. Because it's being multiplied here. From here, things get a little bit simpler. This right here is what? N minus 1 squared. Yes?
Yeah.
I have a 4 out in front. And then what do I have over here? -3 plus 1 times 4. Well, 1 times 4 is 4. What's -3 plus 4? 1.
Oh, that's cool.
So, I cannot square root both sides. I have to divide by 4. Yeah? So, n minus 1 squared is equal to 1/4. You're going to want your calculator on this because I'm going to have your calculator do all the difficult stuff. When I square root, how do I square root 1/4? I have n minus 1 equals plus or minus. What's the square root of 1/4?
I need a chance to see.
Well, what's the square root of 1? And what's the square root of 4? Square root of 4.
2. Come on, Tyree.
So it's 1/2. I just did the square root of 1 and the square root of 4. That's 1/2. I'm going to add 1, and now I'm going to have my calculator do the fraction part. You ready?
So much.
Why are you lost?
Wait, because you're going a little bit too fast.
Sorry. Okay.
1/4 and then 1/2.
I took the square root of 1/4, which is the square root of 1, and the square root of 4. That gives me 1/2.
Yeah. And then
So I have n minus 1 equals 1/2. I got to move the 1 over. Now this part I'm going to let my calculator do for me. What I do need to recognize is this is positive 1/2 plus 1 and negative 1/2 plus 1. Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's let our calculator do it. Positive 1/2. Use your fraction button. 1 fraction 2 plus 1 is 1.5. We don't like we don't like mixed numbers. We want improper fractions. So hit second and your fraction button, and guess what? It changes it for you.
3.
So 3/2 is one of my answers.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Because the other one, I have to come back and do negative 1/2 plus 1.
Wait, it was second and what?
Your fraction button, your A, B over C. Negative 1/2 plus 1 is positive 1/2. So that's my answer right there. So that one was extra ugly.
3 over 2, 1/2.
Okay. I apologize for saying shut up. I don't like being that harsh. But you guys have to stop whining so that you can hear the explanation. Okay? It's a pet peeve of mine. All right, let's try another one of those. Sorry, are you still copying?
I mean, I think right.
It's really, I know it's hard the first time that you are seeing it,
Yeah.
but it's really not that bad if you practice a couple times. All right? Such as on your homework. Yes. All right. Moving down to number 7. Let's get everything on the side it needs to be on first.
Yeah.
So what should I move?
Subtract 15.
Do what? Subtract 15? Okay. Subtract 15, that gives me 9k squared equals negative 18k. And then what? 7 minus 15 is negative 8.
Yeah. Then add 18.
Now I'm going to add 18k. That gives me 9k squared plus 18k equals negative 8. What am I going to factor out?
No.
9. It's always whatever that a value is because you need to get rid of that a value. So I'm going to take out a 9. What's going to be in my parentheses then?
K squared.
K squared plus
18.
2k
Oh, 2K, yeah.
blank and my parentheses equals negative 8 blank. And whatever I fill in that blank with, I'm going to have to multiply it by 9 because that's what I took out over here.
I need to remember that.
Okay? So if you need to remember that, put a little star next to number 7, number 4, because those are ones you can look back at. All right? So what goes in the blank now? 2 divided by 2 is 1.
1 squared is 1.
Squared is 1. So plus 1 and plus 1, and I already have the times 9 there, so I'll figure that out in a minute.
So it's 9.
So I have 9 parentheses. K plus 1 squared equals, this is negative 8 plus 9. 1 times 9 is 9,
Uh-huh.
is 1. Doing okay?
Yeah.
Divide by 9, and I get a fraction, but I'm okay with that fraction. Why? Because I can take the square root of 1 easily, and I can take the square root of 9 easily. Yes? So K plus 1 squared equals 1/9, and I'm going to square root both sides. So I get K plus 1 equals plus or minus, what is the square root of 1? 1. What's the square root of 9? Now, I think I can also do, if I do the square root of 1 fraction 9 on my calculator, if I use that fraction button, it will give me 1/3. Okay? So I can actually do the square root of that fraction on my calculator. Okay? All right, last thing, I'm going to subtract 1, and we're going to go back to our calculator again. I have positive 1/3 minus 1 is negative 2/3. And then negative 1/3 minus 1 is a mixed number. How do I change that into an improper fraction? Hit second and your fraction button again, and then you get negative 4/3. Okay? I know it's a mess, but you can do it.
Yeah.
You just need to practice, right? So why don't you try number 8? See what you can do. Actually, you know what? Let me start off number 8 with you, and then I'll let you try some steps on your own. So I got to move some stuff around. What do I need to move around? 83, okay? Plus 83. Moving that to the other side. So I have 3x squared plus 19x equals 7x negative 8 plus 83, 75. Now what? What do I need to do next? Subtract the 7x?
Yeah.
Yeah? So I have 3x squared plus, what's 19 minus 7? 12x equals 75. And you know what I think I can do? I think I can divide everything by 3, which makes this not like number 7, but more like number 1, 3, 5, and 6. Right? I can divide everything by 3 because this guy divides by 3 nicely. That leaves me with x squared plus 4x blank equals 25 blank. Now remember, the one place that people are most likely going to miss points, and it's not on this one, whatever you factor out, you have to multiply there. That's the place where people lose points. That's where it messes them up and they get crazy fractions from there, and they're like, I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. Okay? All right, what goes in the blank? 4 over 2 squared is 2. When I square it, that gives me 4. Yeah? So I have x what? Plus 2 squared equals 29. Square root both sides. X plus 2 equals plus or minus. Can I square root 29?
No.
Can I draw a tree?
Yeah. Wait.
It's prime, isn't it?
No.
So it's just rad 29. Subtract 2. And my answer is x equals negative 2 plus or minus radical 29. Okay? Now, this stuff is not easy. However, let's think about this for a minute. You should be able to handle those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay? You should be able to handle 1 and 2. You should be able to do, if you've doing okay the past few days, number 3, number 5, number 6, and number 8 should not be difficult for you. Because it's the same process, it just has that division thing. So all you really need to make sure to understand from today is these first couple steps on problems like number 7 and number 4, where you're factoring something out and remembering that part. That's the only part that's different, other than using your calculator to deal with the fractions here. Okay? Now, not all of your homework is like this right here. It is a mixture of these and all of the stuff we have been doing. Okay? This fraction type stuff is probably only going to occur on 2 or 3 homework problems. But practice them to see if you can get it. Okay? All right. Sounds promising. Happy studying!